that is inherently ours, the root pulse of every living being and life cycle. In seeking our inspiration, we realign ourselves with an ancient presence and reawaken the wild creative within. We begin to see more clearly with this part of ourselves intact. I needed the wild beyond the city, so my sons and I set off to a place where our city's river crosses coastal mountains to join the Pacific Ocean. We traveled farther to immerse ourselves in the energetic potential of nature. Accepting an invitation to explore new territory by making a spontaneous trip to the beach meant surrendering to the potential of the unknown. We left the bright sun and journeyed toward a changing sky, arriving at the mouth of a mighty river. Wind slapped the water and threw sand into the air. I drew my children close to me, and together we waded through water-laced gusts. We walked the narrow strip of beach and sheltered in the shadow of a giant driftwood tree. Quiet descended over us as we settled into our surroundings. In this momentary peace, I could see the truth of my present life. I was at the end of a particular trail. I had followed in faith the path of my life so far as healer, mother, and writer, and had come to an impasse. I had the beginnings of a manuscript, but the book I was writing could not find a publisher. My husband and I were struggling financially with the highly unpaid work of tending 2 young children and jobs that were not yet enough to sustain us. In the midst of mothering and working, I hungered for a tangible and meaningful mode of creative expression. I knew this, but I had no idea what to do in response. So here I was in the wild, sitting in the sand, laden with despair. I called out to Spirit. I have traveled this way in faith, but there is no clear direction from here. I am lost. Spirit, I need your help. As if in response, the water began to drum against the shore, speaking in her native tongue. My eldest, then 4 years old, said, "Mama, it's talking to us." I sat up straight, alert. The water pounded a clear rhythm. It was then that my wild self sensed something my mind only registered later. An eagle met us at the water's edge. A raven called from the driftwood tree perched on a branch worn smooth by its time at sea. I turned my head in the direction of the call in time to register the eagle's shape, flying low above the sandy shore. I watched each graceful wing stroke that drew it still nearer to where we sat, as if bound just for us. I felt the energy field surrounding my whole being expand, as if my body and my boys and the river and the eagle were all one. The eagle flew past our place in the sand as if we were simply rock or tree. In that moment when our breath became wind, we were. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, or how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. Martha Graham. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds, except the one to which you belong. David White, Sweet Darkness. Introduction. Awakening your creative soul. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. My most important callings are to be mother and healer, and increasingly the work I do in both places seems connected to this, restoring people's connection to the creative field and keeping it alive in the midst of living. As a healer, I began as a women's health physical therapist fixing problems in the pelvic bowl, but the body overall taught me much more. Once I learned to listen, the body had many answers for the spirit of the person with whom I was working, namely, how to reconnect.